Hello and welcome to Everybody Pulls the Tarp. I'm your host, Andrew Moses. My guest today is Joel Justus, the assistant coach at the University of Kentucky men's basketball program, one of the best assistant coaches in the country, according to The Athletic and ESPN, named one of the top 40 coaches in college basketball under 40. Coach Justus, welcome to the show.
Andrew, thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of the podcast, and I'm very excited to be with you here today.
Joel, thank you for joining me. You're in your 5th season at Kentucky. It's one of the most unique seasons I think anybody has ever experienced in coaching, right? In terms of what everybody's going through. This is a very, very strange season for everyone. We've talked about that. You've coached at the high school level. You've coached in other college programs. I want to go back to your arrival at Kentucky. You arrive at one of the most elite programs in any college sport. Take me back to that moment. Was it overwhelming? How did you go about immersing yourself into the program at Kentucky?
Well, Andrew, it was a unique kind of process even before I got here. We had started school, when I was at Davidson Day. We had, begun, what was going to be my 3rd year there at the school. And Coach and I had some conversations throughout the summer about, joining the staff. He didn't really know what the role was. He didn't know kind of how it was all going to kind of come about. And then, they had a foreign tour that they were working through. They went to the Bahamas. So really after they got back was when we kind of finalized everything. And it kind of what the position was, he had wanted to kind of have a little bit of a hybrid position, of a coach and analytics / video guy. And just with my experience, I'd been at Elon for 4 years as an assistant, and I've been a high school head coach. So I worked as an EYBL coach. So I really just had a mixed bag of experience that I could bring to the staff, really as I was 32 when I got here. I had almost a decade of coaching at a couple different levels, a couple different roles. And coming in here, it was an off the court role. It was something that it was going to be, really working for Coach Cal with that team that we had that year. And I was just excited to come and learn. I think that's one of the best things about our profession is that you're always learning. And this was an opportunity for me to come and work with Cal, work with the staff that he had here, and just continue to get better. So it was, and obviously an opportunity for me that I couldn't pass up. And it was one that I had no idea that it would turn into today. When I took the opportunity, you just knew that it was a great place working with great people.
So when you get to Kentucky and you're in that role, principally video analytics, was there an operation around data and analytics already, or was that something that you were left to develop yourself?
It was really something that he had learned a little bit about, I think, over the years, and had always kind of flirted with the NBA, I think, with some, positions there, and they have always courted Cal. But I think it was, now this is my 7th year here. So, really about that time, the analytics were really starting to pick up in the NBA, and to where they were starting to hire, analytic departments, and they were really working more through it probably in their process. And everything obviously always happens in context, right? That was the year that we had the really, really special team. You had a group of guys come back, and I think for what Coach was thinking, we had to provide them with data. We had to provide them with numbers. And that was the year we went to the kind of platoon system, where guys weren't going to play the average of what a really good college player plays, around 34, 35 minutes. They were going to play about 20 minutes. So we had to kind of manipulate some things to where not only NBA teams were seeing, but our players were seeing, hey, this isn't going to hurt you. This is what we're sending out. This is what we're doing. But also we basically had a season within a season that year too. I mean, our practices were amazing, and we had to create some internal competition every single day to where the guys were, getting better, where they were competing against each other. But most importantly, they were competing against themselves, to be more efficient. And they were learning kind of what efficient basketball was, and then how it was viewed at the next level.
So Joel, for my audience who doesn't follow Kentucky basketball, that 14-15 season, Kentucky goes on an unprecedented run of success, the first team in college basketball history to start a season 38-0. But as you described there, you're implementing a lot of changes, or maybe for some of the players it was different than what they were used to. How much was it relying on the data and the analytics to prove to the players that this new approach made sense versus communication and relationships?
Well, I think it's all of that, really. I think that you had to give them the data, but at the same time, it was trust, and I think anytime that young people come into a team, or we all join a team, it's about trust. It's about the relationships that they're going to benefit. And I think that's one of the best things that Cal does here is, even in recruiting, that's one of the first things that we talk about, is, hey, you have to trust that we're going to take care of you, but you just have to take care of each other. Be a great teammate. Come in every day to get better, to challenge yourself by then challenging a teammate, and working hard, because if you work hard, they'll work hard. If you go hard against your teammate, they go hard against you, you both are going to get better, which means you both are going to benefit. And I thought that was, such an important, I guess, piece to our business that I learned even in that first year, was a group of people. I mean, Devin Booker didn't start on that team, and is now one of arguably the brightest stars in the NBA, and he didn't start. He played 20 minutes. Karl Anthony Towns started, but only played 20 minutes and basically sacrificed 15 to 20 minutes for Dakari Johnson and Marcus Lee, two guys that came off the bench. But that showed those guys, hey, I'm bought into our team being successful. I'm bought into you being successful. And as you talk about the analytics, we were able to provide those guys and everyone else with a kind of like a per 34-minute stat sheet every single game. Hey, this is what you're going to be judged on. This is what those teams are looking at. And some of that was the information that we got by polling NBA teams, by polling front offices. And then obviously a big part of the success of that team and everything that went about it was success. Was winning game after game after game. And, one win went to 2 to 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 to 25. And now you're looking, all right, now we're rolling, and guys were still climbing up the draft boards. Guys were still being, talked about on a national level. And even that year, you had 4 guys drafted in the lottery, which is unprecedented, in our game. And so it was a season, yes, that was not defined by numbers. I think that it was a season that was, totally defined by people trusting in the process, trusting in the coaching staff, but also just being incredible teammates.
So Joel, going back to that run of success, you talked about, you got 5 wins, you got 8 wins, 10 wins. It just keeps going. As someone who was observing, you're new to the staff, new to the program, at that point, when you're observing that, what are your takeaways? Does the staff let the players, does the staff just let things roll and ride the momentum, or are you still tinkering with stuff?
I think you're always tinkering, right? If you're a great coach, if you're a great manager, if you're a great, leader, I think you're always tinkering. I think, and that is one thing that I have learned from Cal, is that he's always pushing the envelope. He's always pushing, not only the players here, but our staff. Can we be better? How can we be ahead of things? And that season was my first, obviously, working for Cal. I had followed him for years and had a relationship with him for years. But that season was, okay, we can't sit back and now think that this thing's just going to operate itself. We have to challenge, the young guys. We have to challenge. I mean, they were young. I mean, we had a significant amount of freshmen, sophomores on that team still, mixed with a junior like Willie Cauley-Stein. We lost a junior in Alex Poitras to a knee injury early December. But that's where I was saying, those guys were so competitive. I mean, our daily practices sometimes were absolute wars. So those guys were locked in, and hey, look, this is a well, kind of oiled machine here too. I saw that year. I mean, we would have 30 NBA scouts in practice, to come and watch what we were doing, and and that's one thing that refer back to. Coach promises, these guys, hey, look, we are going to be about you, and as a leader, that's such a powerful commitment to young people and say, look, I am going to be about you. And especially in our day and age today, where coaches or leaders are kind of looked at as, I know, are you going to look out for me, or are you all about, your money, your success, your fame, your kind of legacy? And that's not what Cal's about. You can see that the Cal is so much in the kind of business of helping people, and helping families. And the byproduct of that is he's one of the most successful coaches in our game. He's a Hall of Fame coach. That's his legacy, what he's done for young people. And then in turn, the young people have been successful. They've been fantastic teammates. And as you can see now in the NBA, I mean, my goodness, we had 7 guys score over 20 points in a game the other night. And that's never been done in the NBA. So I think it's something that you saw early on, that the Cal and this program is about young people and about creating opportunities for them to be successful, and doing it every single day. You have to be someone that challenges young people to be comfortable being uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, you put your arm around them and you tell them you love them and say, hey, let's do it again tomorrow.
How do you challenge them, Joel, how do you find the right balance between uncomfortable and too uncomfortable? How do you know how far to push an athlete or anyone?
Well, I think that's something it's a collaborative effort, right? I mean, it's something that you have to have conversation with them. You have to understand how they feel. You have to ask them, how do you feel? Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how that practice was. How was that game? Tell me what you're thinking. You have to sit down, watch film. Tell me what you see here. To really get inside the head and the heart of a young person. We can recruit them and we can see them, but really, you don't understand, or at least we don't understand what really is going through their mind until they face adversity. And as a coach, I think you have to present them with adversity every single day. Now, then they have to respond to that adversity. And as a coach, then you have to help them respond to that adversity. You just can't provide them with adversity and turn your back and walk away and say, okay, you failed this challenge today. It has to be, like I said, a collaborative effort of where, okay, here's the challenge of the day. And you watch and you observe how they handle it. Okay, now let's sit back now and let's observe how you handled it. Tell me how you felt while you were going through this. Okay, now how do we respond the same way if we had a good response, or how do we respond differently to provide them with help as their coach, as their friend, as their mentor, to making it, I guess you would say, and that's the thing is when young people are presented with adversity, it's about how they respond, in those trying times. And our thing is we don't want to give them a place that they're never presented with adversity, so they just get hit in the mouth when they leave here. We want them to feel comfortable responding to adversity on a level that others are not comfortable.
So when you're going through a season like that one, where you have a 38-0 start, or or almost any season at Kentucky where you guys are having an unprecedented, amount of success, such consistent success. Do you have to be intentional about creating the adversity, whether it's in practice, whether it's adversity, or that you're pointing out points of adversity? Because in the big picture, you rattle off 10 wins in a row, it might not seem like a lot of adversity the team faces. How do you create that adversity? Or is there adversity is there always adversity?
Well, I think there's always adversity, and that was something with that team that we talked about was we weren't really concerned about the opponent. We were concerned about ourselves, and that's something that we talk about even to this day. Here is are we getting better? Am I getting better? That's what we can control. Really, the opponents were there to challenge us. They were the adversity, but they were also helping us get better. And every time that we stepped on the floor, whether it was in practice or whether it was in a game, it was, hey, am I getting better? Am I getting stronger? Am I getting tougher? And really, Andrew, that's something that we talk about every single day, every single season that we've been here. That has been something that we try to focus on, providing that mental picture to our guys of, hey, this is about you. As we've said in recruiting, as we've said every single day here, we are here to train you to be professional. And if this is what you want to do, if you want to be a professional basketball player, these are the habits that you must create. And adversity then challenges your habits. It challenges your mental toughness. It challenges your physical toughness to then break through and then do it again tomorrow and do it again the next day. And when you talked about that season or any season that we're a part of, there's daily adversity and just getting out of bed. How do you feel? Of course we feel tired. Of course you feel banged up. Your body's sore. Your mind is tired. I don't really want to go to class. I don't want to be on time for this tutor. But as a coach and especially someone working with young people and young people like we do that are freshmen, that are, on their own for the first time, away from parents, away from people that have potentially coddled them. Hey, look, we're trying to train you and give you that ability to make decisions for yourself. And then we sit back and reflect and say, hey, is that a professional decision that you made? Because you do that at a job, you're going to get fired, you're going to get fined. They're not going to have you around because someone else wants that job.
One of the interesting things, Joel, that I just find that I'm curious about with college coaches is, when you have an elite program like Kentucky and you have this unprecedented consistency, such consistency in the program, it's almost like every year you're retooling, you're restarting in many ways. Unlike in professional sports or companies where you have folks that stay 5, 10, 15 years, long-term contracts. In college sports, especially at the elite level, there's a lot of turnover. How do you manage the turnover and stay consistent?
Oh, it's a challenge, and especially with what we do here, where we'll lose 5 to 6 guys routinely, every year. And the key is finding the right people. That is the number one key. Is when we go out and you evaluate and then recruit. They have to be great people. We talked about they have to be about others. They have to demonstrate to us in the recruiting process that they're built for it. They're built to be a great teammate. They are built to come into a locker room with other motivated young people to then be about somebody else. And then trust, like I said, that we are going to be about them. And that's the culture really that Cal has set here for the last 12 years is, hey, look, we're going to be about you. You be about your teammates, and then we're going to get to work. We're going to challenge you. You're going to challenge your teammates. You know that you are going to be challenged by a coaching staff and another teammate or 2 or 3. But the rewards and the results speak for themselves. And the best thing about that is it's all honest. That there's no promises other than we're here for you. There's no, hey, you're going to come here and you're going to shoot 30 balls. you're going to come here and play all the minutes. No, we're promising that you're going to come here and be challenged. We're promising that we're going to give you the blueprint to be a professional basketball player. Now, if that's not what you want, if you want guarantees, if you want something that's easier, or you want a proven way, that there is no proven way, other than ours, that we are going to give you a place to come and be challenged. We're going to provide you with a staff of coaches that are going to love you and care for you and challenge you, work with you. We're going to recruit other great young people that are driven, that are going to come in, that are going to work hard, and that are going to be about you. Now, your job is to be about them. And when you talk about, people that we've had that now are able to come in year after year after year, they understand what they're getting into. So they've already selected, to come into this culture, knowing that it's going to be difficult, knowing that they're not promised anything. And sometimes that's the first time in a while that these guys have not been promised something. But at the end of the day, where they want to go, they're not going to be promised anything either. And I think when, you find people, you find families that trust in the process, and that are fully, committed to that, you're able to have success.
How? So, I know you're a humble, modest guy, Joel, but you're one of the best recruiters in the country. Every year, you guys are putting up top recruiting classes. You're a huge part of that, by all accounts. You've said to me that it's leadership is not about it's about what you do, not what you say. How do you, and you talked there a few minutes ago about you're looking for people who demonstrate certain behaviors. Talk more about that. What are you looking for them to specifically demonstrate? How do you assess whether they demonstrate that, so you can determine if they're about doing as opposed to talk?
Well, it starts with just getting to know the person. And like I said, I think for us, it's watching them when maybe they've had a bad game, watching them when they've had a rough quarter, a rough half, to see how they respond to coaching, to see how they respond to a teammate. And then to have, once again, have those kinds of conversations. Tell me about something that's been difficult for you, during the recruiting process. Tell me when things have been difficult. Tell me when something's been hard. Tell me the lowest point of your basketball career. And you find out, how young people kind of self-evaluate. And that's such an important thing for all of us, how do you self-evaluate who you really are? Tell me what you're about. Tell me, like I said, where you've been when things have not gone great. And then how do you respond? How did you respond? How do you wish you would have responded? What did you learn from that experience? And I think for us, it's constantly showing them kind of how to be humble, that you're a servant leader, that okay, if I walk through the locker room, I'm willing to pick up someone else's trash. I'm willing to dust off something. I've always said that as a coach, you can never get too big or too important to sweep the floor, or to turn the lights off, or to put a couple balls up on the rack. Wherever you're at, whether you're the head coach at a high school, whether you're a Division I assistant coach, or you're an assistant coach at Kentucky, or the head coach at Kentucky. I think for all of us, there's a tarp that needs to be pulled, I guess. If it's in baseball, it's obvious. If it's in basketball, I've always said you can never be, too big to sweep the floor. As a high school coach, I was always a guy that carried the water bottles, from the bus to the gym. I thought that was something for me that was, hey, I'll fill up the water because that's what you need, during the game. I'll pick it up and I'll take it back on the bus, and that's something that as a coach, and even as an assistant coach here, you have to be willing to do something that shows I'm in this too. I'm not above that. because we're asking our players to do a lot of things for others, whether it's communicate on defense, whether it's dive on the floor. And sometimes maybe it's not play as much, because somebody else can play. But I think for us as coaches and us as a staff, we are constantly trying to provide the real life kind of servant leadership, not just kind of having quotes on a piece of paper or up on a wall of, hey, this is how you do it. These are the types of things that you do for each other to be a great teammate. And that's what we are. I think, and especially in this day and age, we're all a team. There's no kind of hierarchy in a basketball team, I believe. I think we're all, we all have the same sweat equity if we're going to be successful.
How do you, on that note, Joel, what you mentioned servant, and I love the tarp reference. We're all out there pulling the tarp. I talked to earlier this year, Coach Tom Allen with Indiana football, who Big Ten Coach of the Year. He's probably going to be National Coach of the Year, I would think. He was telling me stories about how through the years he's striped lines. He's been the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator at the same time. He's been the academic advisor. Some programs he didn't have the personnel that he has at Indiana, and he says that's made him a better coach. It's made him more well-rounded, and it instills this. I love your examples there. Some fantastic examples. So you talked about servant leadership. I thought of, as you were talking about, I thought of the word authenticity, and that it's like you said, it's not just quotes on a wall or a sheet of paper. It's the way Kentucky basketball and the way the staff and the program operates. It's authentic. It's authentically you. Now, part of that authenticity is, I would imagine, is putting your arms around someone when things are not going necessarily as expected. So take me through a scenario where you have a highly touted recruit or somebody who comes in, or things are just not going according to their expectations. How do you put your arms around them and help them through that?
That's the last 3 months of my life, with our season. We talked a lot, about that 38-0 season, but shoot, man, we're sitting here right now 5-10. We were a lot of people's pick to be the national champion, and we were a lot of people's pick to be this and to be that, and we had a lot of guys that had some expectations this season that quite honestly they haven't been met. And for us, it's like I said, every single day getting better. This is about a process for each one of these individual people to be their best version. And sometimes that's a difficult conversation. Sometimes that's hey, let's go grab lunch. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me what's going on, because we never know what's going on with somebody else unless we ask. They could be struggling with something that has nothing even related to basketball. There could be girlfriend problems. There could be family issues. There could be sleeping issues. Maybe they don't like what they're eating. Maybe they're homesick. I mean, when we're dealing with a lot of these young people, I mean, there's so much that we don't know unless we ask. It's easy to critique your performance or closeout or your footwork or your defensive stance or whatever it may be, the same way it would be if you're a boss, in the corporate sector. Hey, your performance is not great. Well, why? What could potentially be going on, if you're the boss? And I think the great bosses, the great leaders, are able to sit down and to recognize that something is off. And I think for us, it's, like I said, the process that you go through in a team, there's a reason why you have exhibition games. There's a reason why you have preseason practices. There's a reason why we do what we do in August, September, October. It's to get ready for November, December, January, February, March. And for all of us, not just Kentucky, that was taken away from us with this season. So for us, we're having to do things a lot different than we've ever done them. And you see that how important that is. And for someone, like I said, that's been here now coaching for 5 years, been here for a total of 7. You see now how important process is, not only for our team, but also for these young people. They have to see success to then, and feel success to then trust what we're trying to get them to do. Because generally it's harder than anything they've ever done. It's faster. And they're playing again against 21, 22-year-olds. And for all of us, if someone says, hey, Andrew, why don't you try to do this my way? Because that's how they see it. Not their way, it's my way, it's Cal's way. And they don't have success, now they're generally going to question that. Like we all would. I don't think that's anything that's crazy to think about. They have to feel the success. And with what has happened this year, our guys haven't experienced enough success, and especially early, to truly buy in and understand all of the little things that it takes to be successful. And like I said, I think that's such a big part of success in any walk of our life. I mean, even being a husband, a wife, it's a process that we have to work at every single day. And I think that's how we talk with our guys is coming in every single day. Let's just get 1% better today. Maybe let's get 2% better if we have a great day. And then let's look at this thing in a couple weeks and see how much better we've gotten. See how much better you've gotten. And if you get better, you get better, you get better, you get better. Now we are better. And as a coach, that's the biggest thing, and especially as an assistant coach. You have to really be ingrained with these young people to understand how they feel, what they're going through. And with what these guys have gone through this year, and especially at Kentucky, I mean, it ain't what they signed up for either now. These guys signed up to come and play in front of 24,000 people, to be on the biggest stage in front of the best fans in the country. And really for a lot of them, they've experienced a lot of the tough parts of being in Kentucky without a lot of the rewards and the fun part.
So Joel, before I let you go, I want to zoom out a bit and just one question.
Can we go back and talk about that 38-0 season? That one was a lot more fun and enjoyable. I think that, as we sit here today, I'm sitting here saying, oh man, let's go back to that season right now.
Well, you guys will be back there soon, and I'm rooting for you. Don't tell my friends at Penn State, where my alma mater, but I'm certainly rooting for you. And with these processes and systems and habits that you guys have created in the program, it won't be long. That's for sure. So for my final question, I want to zoom out a little bit and ask you a simple question, Joel. Why coaching?
And I've asked myself that a lot this year. It was easy to be a coach whenever you're having success, but sometimes the most rewarding seasons are ones like this. When you help young people get through adversity, and then they look at it when they're 39 years old and they say, man, I had some great coaches, and I was able to fight through, because, as a coach, that's what we're here for. We're here to provide young people with an amazing experience, during such an important time of their life. This is the time that they've moved away from home. They're truly on their own, and they learn about themselves for the first time. I know I did. When I went and played college basketball, and I had fantastic coaches, I had fantastic mentors, even to this day. So much of my kind of daily thoughts and beliefs are because of those coaches. I had a tremendous high school coach who I still have a great relationship with, to this day. And even as a high school coach, so many of those guys now are growing up and becoming young men. And it fuels you to continue to get up every day and know that you have an impact, that you can help somebody through a tough time. You can help somebody achieve a dream, like Emmanuel Quickly right now, that's having an amazing start for the New York Knicks. It was a kid that had such a hard freshman year, difficult freshman year, and I remember sitting with him up on the balcony in our practice facility and saying, "Talk to me." He said, "Man, this was hard." It's like, I didn't think it was going to be this hard. I never thought it would be this hard. And I've never questioned myself more than I had this year. I didn't think I was very good this year. And then to see him come back his sophomore year, just put in tons of time and tons of work, and have such a belief in himself to be the SEC player of the year, to be a first round draft pick, and now to totally just be still surprising everybody, across the NBA. And what it is, Andrew, is it's an opportunity to have an impact, and to, to wake up every day and to know that you're important to somebody else. And, in our business, you're important to a lot of somebody else's, because you have the kids on your team. You also have their parents that have trusted you to help raise their young man, in my case. As a coach, if you're coaching women, a young woman, that, we all have the opportunity and the responsibility to help, or in some ways maybe hurt, the growth, but most importantly, the experience, that we have in front of us.
It's a huge responsibility. It's absolutely inspiring, Joel, to hear you talk about it, and the weight and the responsibility that you take with these young student athletes, and the role you play, not just from a basketball perspective, but in their lives. Thank you so much, Joel, for spending a few minutes with Everybody Pulls the Tarp. I know it's been a hectic time. It's a wild season for everyone. It's a wild time for the world. And I sure appreciate you pulling the tarp and sharing some of these thoughts with us. Good luck. I'm rooting for you. And you guys are going to be back on top pretty soon. That's for sure.
Yeah, we got a good, we got 9 games left, in our regular season. And there's always time. That's the thing for all of us, and everything that we do. It's the daily improvement. It's what are we doing for somebody else? And, I'm blessed to be here, and very lucky. So, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, Joel. There's always time to pull the tarp. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thanks so much. Go Cats.